Students, can you hear me? Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Vijay.
Yes, you can hear.
Okay. If any audio issue, just try to log out and log in. Or else restart your system and try to log in. Okay, let me start the session. So in today's class, first we'll try to focus on the requirements like table screen elements with formatter functions. And in table screen elements, we're going to add different internal screen elements. For virtual fields, and we are going to implement formatter functions. So in this process, you'll understand many different JavaScript keywords and all those things. So the expectation is, yesterday we have created a table. Let me run this. Okay, this table is created here, form list table. So in table, I want to add several fields here. For example, there is a salary field. This is the data that is coming from backend. Based on this salary value, I want to apply some condition to add some virtual fields and to add different screen elements in different table columns. Salary field is a field that's a data coming from backend system via OData service. On this field, I want to apply condition. For example, if salary greater than 80,000, I want to add a new column with text screen element. With text as something like experienced employee. I want to add new column with the text screen element which should display text as experienced employee, something like this. If the condition is false, a text screen element text must be displayed as, for example, fresher employee. The condition is false. So we are trying to display two types of text here. Text can be experienced employee, text can be fresher here. That all depends on the condition on the salary field. For each record, this has to be done. This condition will be executed for each and every record internally. Okay, similarly, if salary greater than 80,000, I want to add a new column. I want to add new column with image screen element with SRC property, and that should display something like green color icon or green color image. If the condition is false, I'm expecting something like red color image or red color icon. So here image screen element can be green color image screen element can display red color image based on the condition. In this case, for example, salary greater than 80,000 or less than or equal to 80,000. Based on that, this image is decided inside the table in one of the column. Similarly, for example, let me use same condition, salary greater than 80,000. I want to add a new column with, for example, checkbox in element with selected property. And that selected property should be displayed as true here. So new column with checkbox screen element. Checkbox contains selected property, and by default, if salary greater than 80,000, it should be selected. So we are making it true here. The checkbox is selected. The condition is false. I want to make it false. That means the checkbox is not selected here. Condition is true. Checkbox status will be true. That means checkbox is selected. If the condition is false, checkbox is false. That means it is not selected. Not only checkbox, if you want, you can add something like a new column with switch screen element here, with state property. Switch contains state property. That is important. So state can be true here. That means switch is on. The switch status is on. The condition is false. I want to make the switch status as off. So let us make it false here. Switch status, that means switch state. State is false. False means the checkbox is off. Not checkbox, this is switch state is off. So switch contains on and off options here. Checkbox contains selection and no selection, but switch contains on off option. So that I want to use it inside the table. Similarly, salary greater than 80,000, I want to add a new screen element. I want to add a new column with a new screen element, that is, for example, rating indicator. Rating indicator with value property. And that rating value must be 4-star rating here. In this case, if the condition is false, I want to use rating indicator with value as 2-star here. So that means based on salary, the rating indicator may be 4-star or it can be 2-star based on the condition. Inside the table, so this has to be executed for each and every record. Similarly, not only rating indicator, we can add a new column with slider, screen element with value as, for example, 80%. I want to make it here. If the condition is false, slider value, I want to make it 40 here. It's 40%. Similarly, instead of using slider, we can add a new column with progress indicator with percent value. Percent value as, for example, 80% here. The condition is false. I want to make it progress indicator with percent value as 40%, for example. And similarly, if salary is greater than 80,000, I want to add a new column with, for example, object number Object number is one of the screen element. I want to apply this on salary field with state as, for example, success is for green color value. Success will display green color value. Object number field I want to apply on salary column itself so that I can display salary value in green color if the salary is greater than 80,000. If it is not greater than 80,000, I want to use salary field salary value as error so that it can display red color value. So salary value can be green color, salary value can be red color. That is what we are trying to do here by using the state of object number as success, or it can be error. Object number contains state property. It can be success so that you can display green color value. Object number can be with state as error so that it can display red color value. Similarly, salary greater than 80,000. I want to add a new column with, for example, button screen element on user ID field with button type as, for example, accept. Accept will display green color button here. I want to display button on user ID field. Button contains type property. You can use accept, which will display green color button. If the condition is false, I want to display button type as reject, which means it will display red color button here. A button can be with type accept for green color, button can be with type reject for red color. So in the table column, I want to display button on user ID field. Button color must be of two types, green color or it can be red color. Button type supports accept as well as reject. Okay, so these things I want to execute based on condition on salary field. Similarly, let me add one more requirement here. For example, there is a country field here. Country can be US, India, UK, whatever. Let me just apply one simple requirement on country. So country is a field that is getting data from backend system via OData service for every record. So in the front end, I want to use, for example, country is India here. Then I want to display new column with a text screen element. Text as, for example, INR. I want to display currency here as INR. That's currency, Indian rupee. If, for example, country is US, then I want to display new column with the text screen element, text as, for example, USD, US dollar as a currency. If country is, for example, UK, then I want to display new column with text screen element. Text as, for example, UK pounds. Else, other than these three countries, other than India, US, UK, then I want to display new column text screen element, text as, for example, not available, NA, not available. So here we are trying to display currency for 3 countries, India, US, and UK. For other countries, I'm just making it like not available. Now, requirement 3. So say suppose here you can see there is email ID. There is something like email ID here. And this email ID I want to display in the form of hyperlink by using link screen element. Display email ID column with link screen element. And not only that, you can see there is first name as well as last name here. So I want to combine these two things, first name and last name, and I want to display in single column. The 2 ways of doing it, today we'll try to do it in one of the technique. So first name column, last name column, I want to display as a single column with full name. For doing this, there are 2 techniques. In today's session, we'll do it with one of the technique. In the next session, we'll do it with another technique here. So I want to display first name column and last name column as a single column with full name. And not only that, I want to make it as editable. I want to make that as editable column using input screen element with value property. I want to make that column as editable using input screen element here. Editable is possible if you use input screen element with value property. And not only that, I want to display, for example, here you can see there is salary field. For example, assume that this is monthly salary. I want to display annual salary. Assume that this is monthly salary, but I want to display annual salary as a separate column. Salary into 12. I want to calculate something like that. So here, I want to display annual salary column with text screen element. With the text as, for example, I want to display calculated value here. I want to display calculated value and it should return something like salary into 12. The calculated value of salary into 12. So that final result should be displayed as part of annual salary column for each and every record. Here condition is not used, but we are using a simple calculation. For example, salary into 12. The final result should be displayed in a separate column for each and every record. So for all these type of requirements, basically we have to use a formatter function concept. If you want to return a calculated value, or if you want to return values based on condition, if you want to return values based on condition, or if you want to return a calculated value based on some condition, then in all these situations, we have to use formatter function. Except for these two things, for all the remaining options, whether to return calculated value or to return value based on condition, in all those situations, you have to use a formatter function. Okay, let me write that simple note here. formatter functions. So formatter function is used to return value based on condition. Main purpose of using formatter function is to return a value based on condition. And formatter function is also used to return a calculated value. We can also return a calculated value by using a formatter function. Formatter function is executed automatically for each and every record in a table or an entity set. Formatter function is basically executed automatically for each and every record available in a table or an entity set. So here, in this case, you can see, for example, there are 47 records here. If you attach formatter function, so for one of the column, if you attach formatter function for that column, for 47 times, the formatter function gets executed. That's a basic behavior. If there are 100 records, 100 times formatter function gets executed. So that's the default behavior of a formatter function here. So formatter function is executed automatically for each and every record available in a table or an entity set. And not only that, I can say formatter function is implemented in a separate file. That is formatter.js file. Formatter functions are implemented always in a separate file, that is formatter.js file, for all Fiori applications. Formatter functions are basically generic and global. Which means formatter functions are reusable. That you will understand in the next session, how can we reuse. So whatever formatter functions you are implementing in formatter file is a global file. So formatter functions are generic and global, which means formatter functions are reusable and can be assigned to multiple screen elements. If the requirement is matching, then we can assign it to multiple screen elements. One formatter can be assigned to multiple screen elements if the condition is same. If the requirement is same for multiple screen elements, we can reuse the formatter function. So whatever formatter functions you implement in formatter file, they are basically global. That's the reason why you can reuse and assign to multiple screen elements if the requirement is same. Not only multiple screen elements, it can be assigned to multiple views of that application. Formatter functions are reusable and can be assigned to multiple screen elements of same view. You can also assign multiple screen elements of multiple different views of that application. Multiple screen elements of same view, or you can assign to multiple views of different screen elements of different multiple views. That is possible. Multiple screen elements may be of same view, or multiple screen elements can be of different views. So whatever it may be, it is generic for that entire application. Formatter functions are generic and they're global to the entire app. That's the reason why multiple views, multiple screen elements can reuse those formatter functions. And there will be only one formatter file. It is global file, so one formatter file is enough for one app. And this formatter.js file is auto-generated file. Formatter.js file is auto-generated file. For SAP Fiori worklist template and SAP Fiori master detail template. Whatever may be the template, that file will be available. So the main purpose is to return a value based on condition, or you can return a calculated value. That's the main purpose of formatter functions here. Okay, so let me write step-by-step procedure here. Step one is, first you can open object view.xml file, because our table is part of this file. Let us go to that file. Go to table screen element. Go to table, then column section here. You can open object view.xml file, go to table, table contains column section. In column section, add new column here with label with a text property. Every label contains text property. So first add new column with a label. Go to object view.xml file, go to table, column section. In column section, add new column with a label text. So that is step one. So let me add those things here. So here, let me go to table. Okay, yesterday we have implemented this table columns. Table contains two sections, table with column section, table with item section, which contains cells for screen elements. So here, first of all, I want to add these columns here. In column section of a table, let me add all the required columns. For example, column contains label text, and here you can use, for example, this column, I want to use it for status. Let us use the design, example bold. So we are trying to add one new column. For example, column with label contains text within that column. Column section contains list of columns, and each column contains a label. Very simple. Now that is step one. We'll try to add remaining things later, but let me complete for one of the column. So this is done. Go to table, column section, add new column with label and its text. Step two is, you can go for attaching formatter function. So open again the same thing, object view.xml file. Now go to table, cell section here. Go to table, cell section. Table contains items with cell section, and there you need to add your internal screen element. Add internal screen element. for that column. And each intrinsic element has its own property. So you have to use its property. Add intrinsic element with its property. And not only that, we need to maintain data binding with OData field. On which field you want to apply condition, that field you have to use it in data binding. On which field you want to use condition, that field should be used in data binding. And finally, attach formatter function. Attach formatter function. Yesterday we have implemented all the columns with intrinsic elements without any formatter function. Today we are just adding one formatter function in this case. Okay, let me complete this. Now go to table cell section, add intrinsic element with its property, maintain data binding with OData field, attach formatter function. So let us do this here. So now you can see table contains cell section here. Table cell section contains intrinsic element with its property. So here I want to make use of, for example, I want to add one new intrinsic element, that is text element. I want to use text property here. Intrinsic element with the text property. For text property, you have to maintain data binding with OData field. Plus, you need to attach formatter function. Both you need to do in this case. And if you want, you can adjust some width here. That width adjustments, we can do it later. But as of now, we have to use intrinsic element with its property, maintain data binding, plus you need to attach formatter function. All these things we have to do it. So when you're trying to use data binding with OData field plus attaching formatter function, then the syntax will slightly change here. You have to use data binding with OData field. Plus, you need to attach formatter function. Both should be done here. Not just data binding here. We have to do both data binding plus attach formatter function. Yesterday, we have done only data bindings, no formatter functions. So that's the reason why the syntax will slightly change. You have to use this internal skin element, its property, and then you have to use path here. You have to use flower brackets. Within flower brackets, use path, colon, OData field in data binding. Comma, you have to use formatter keyword. Then formatter.js file. Inside that formatter.js file, you have to attach formatter function that is, for example, status double F. Formatter is a keyword. Formatter here, it is a formatter.js file. In that file, we are going to implement formatter function. So attach that formatter function, for example, status double F. So formatter is a keyword. And then there is a formatter dot, that means it refers to formatter.js file. And then we have to attach formatter function, for example, status double F. So this is a syntax you have to use if you are maintaining data binding with OData field and attaching formatter function. When you're doing both, then use this syntax. If you're just using only data binding, then you can use yesterday's syntax. Now the OData field, in this case, I want to use, for example, salary field. And the formatter function name, for example, status double F. You can use XYZ double F or XYZ ABC here. It doesn't matter. So in my case, I'm using, for example, status double F. You can use any name, but I'm using status double F as the name of the formatter function. So what we have done, we have used internal screen element with its property. We maintain data binding with OData field. Plus we have attached formatter function. All these things are happening in table cell section. So text is a screen element, internal screen element, text is a property, salary is a OData field in data binding, and status double F is a formatter function. Now, what is step 3? Step 3 is simple. You can open formatter file. Open formatter.js file. The default file for every project in Fiori. You have to implement formatter function. Implement formatter function. And return value based on condition. Or you can return a calculated value. You can return calculated value. You can open formatter.js file. It is auto-generated file for every Fiori template based application. So implement formatter function, return a value based on condition, or you can also return a calculated value depending upon requirement. So here you can see every project contains a formatter.js file here. So let me open that formatter.js file. By default, there is a formatter function like number unit. There is one default formatter with a function keyword. It's a JavaScript keyword. And if else, you can use it. But here, you can use comma separator. At the end of existing formatter function, use comma separator. Add your formatter function. Our formatter function is status double F. Let us add that here. Status double F. To implement formatter function, you have to use function keyword. It's a JavaScript keyword. And what is the field used in data binding? Salary is a field used in data binding. So you can carry forward that value here. You can carry forward that value. And then you can use flower brackets. Within flower brackets, you can apply condition, return the value, or you can return a calculated value. In this case, I want to use, for example, if salary greater than 80,000, I want to return, for example, experienced employee. Else, I want to return, for example, fresher employee. Some text we are trying to return. Based on salary, experience is not decided, but just we are trying to use it. So here, if salary greater than 80,000, the text will be experienced employee. Otherwise, the text will be fresher employee. Whenever this status double F is executed, it is executed for each and every record in a table. Salary is a field used in data binding, so you can carry forward that value to formatter function. And you can use it inside your if-else conditions here. So function is a keyword to implement formatter function. If else, there are also JavaScript keywords. Return is to return a value. That is also a JavaScript keyword here. So whenever required, we are going to include JavaScript statements or JavaScript keywords. Okay, so now let me go to the step 4. Step 4 is just save all the files. View file, formatter file, just save all the files and run the app. Check the output. So this is a process you need to follow for all the above requirements. So let me save and run it here. Save both the files, formatter file and object.view.xml file. What we have done is we have done this like salary greater than 80,000. We are adding a new column with text screen element, text as experienced employee, or it can be text as fresher employee. So that is what we have done. Just let me check whether it works or not. So if I go to table, so now you can see, okay, table here, it's not working. Status, salary field. Okay, let me go to formatter function. Status double F is not found. Okay, there's some problem. Okay, it's not displaying. So that means there is some problem in the syntax. Let me check what's the problem. So we are using text screen element equal to path with OData field name salary. That's fine. And we are using formatter keyword. Okay, so colon. After that, you have to refer formatter file. Formatter file you have to refer with dot formatter. Dot is missing. Just you have to use dot formatter. That refers to formatter.js file. After that, we are attaching formatter function status double F. Just dot is missing. Dot formatter basically refers to formatter.js file. And formatter is a keyword to attach formatter function. The name of the formatter is status double F. So just add dot before the formatter here, then save and run it. So now there is a table and table contains this status field and we are able to get according to our expectation here. You can see salary is greater than 80,000. We are getting experienced employee as a status field value. Less than 80,000, we are getting fresher employee. Wherever there is greater than 80,000, it is experienced employee. Less than 80,000, we are able to get fresher employee. So formatter function is executed for each and every record in a table automatically. Now we are able to get the final output for this particular status column here. We are able to display two different types of values in this case based on the condition. This is basically a virtual column. This is not part of the database table. This is a virtual column now. This is executed only in the front end. So you need not worry about the performance. Why? Because this formatter function is executed only in the front end, not in the server. The formatter function is executed within the front end, within the browser, not in the server. So there may be 1,000 records, 1,000 times the formatter function is executed, but it is executed in the browser level, not in the server. So don't worry too much about the performance in this case. Okay, so we are able to get this. Let us do it for other columns: image, checkbox, switch, rating, slider. We'll try to do all those things now with the same approach. Now let me go with this one. Image screen element with green color image if condition is salary greater than 80,000. Otherwise, I want to display red color image. So how to do that? Let us repeat this procedure. Go to table column section, add new column with label text. So let me do that. Here you can see there is table column section, Let us add one more column with a label. Label text, and here I want to use, for example, img, image, and I want to use design. So that's a new column with a label inside a table. Of course, label contains text and design. So that is step 1. Step 2, go to table cell section, add internal screen element with its property, maintain data binding with OData field, attach formatter function. So let me use image, internal screen element. In this case, I want to use image screen element with SRC property. So here, go to table cell section. I can add image screen element from SAP.m library. You can add any internal screen element, rating indicator, you can add it. You can add switch, you can add image, you can add checkbox, you can add slider, you can add progress indicator, you can add progress indicator, you can add a button, you can add link. So you can add different internal screen elements here. In this case, let me use image. Image contains SRC property. So for SRC property, here I need to maintain data binding plus formatter function. So use flower brackets. Path is a keyword. For maintaining data binding, you can use path keyword with OData field name, for example, salary field here. Use comma, then formatter is another keyword to attach formatter function. Then use dot formatter. It refers to formatter file. It refers to formatter.js file. After that, you can attach formatter function. For example, image double F. The name of the formatter can be XYZ here. But in our case, we are using image double F. We are maintaining data binding with OData field. We are attaching formatter function. For image internal screen element with SRC property. Internal screen element is image with SRC property. Data binding with salary field. Image double F is a formatter function. All three things we have done it here. Now open formatter.js file. Implement formatter function, return the value based on condition. So here, let us go to formatter.js file. Use the same name, formatter function name, image double F. Try to use it here also the same. Use function keyword. Salary is a field used in data binding. Now here I can use if-else keywords. That is one of the approach. There is a shortcut syntax also. There is shortcut syntax as well. That is like you can use condition here. For example, salary greater than 80,000. Use question mark. And here you have to use return keyword. If salary greater than 80,000, if the condition is true, it returns value 1. If the condition is false, it returns value 2. This is similar to if-else syntax. This is another type of syntax in JavaScripting, so you can use it here. This is conditional ternary operator syntax, which is an alternative for if-else. You can use if-else keyword or you can use a single line syntax. This is conditional ternary operator syntax. If the condition is true, it returns value 1. If the condition is false, it returns value 2. And this is executed for each and every record of a table. So condition is true. I want to return something like some images, green color.zip file, red color.zip file. So let me import those images here. Import images. For example, you can see green color.zip file. Tick mark symbol with green color. And let me import another image. For example, you can see red color icon, that's red color.zip file, cross mark symbol with red color. Now 2 images, these are custom images. Now I can return those things through coding here. Use slash, then green color.zip. Here I can use second value as, for example, red color.zip file. You have to use slash. Green color.zip file with slash, red color.zip file with slash. Otherwise, it will not recognize. So, formatter function is implemented. We have written value based on condition. Now you can save and run the application. Save both the files, object view and formatter file. Then run the app. So you can see here, now there is image. Image is displayed with 2 types of images here based on condition. Salary greater than 80,000, it is green color. Wherever there is greater than 80,000, it is green color. And if it is less than 80,000, then it is red color. Less than 80,000, it is displaying with red color image. So it is working according to our expectation. So we are able to get this images in this virtual column. So formatter function is executed for each and every record to display this icon for each and every record. And the condition is based on salary field here. Salary field is an actual field. Image field is a virtual field here. You can have n number of virtual fields to make our table output more and more meaningful. Salary field is considered as actual field. Status field, image field, these are virtual fields. We are adding virtual fields just to make our table output more meaningful. Okay, so it's working fine. Let me go with other requirements here. So I want to add checkbox with selection as true, checkbox without selection as false. That also should be executed based on condition. So let me add one more column here. Let me copy the syntax. This is for checkbox CB. Similarly, let me add one more column. That is for switch. One more column. This is, for example, for dating. Then one more column with a label. For example, progress indicator. This is to display progress indicator. Next column, I want to display this for slider. And then next column, I want to display for currency. And then one more column that is to display annual salary. I don't want to use phone number here. Let me ignore this. I don't want to use phone number field. Let us ignore this because we are trying to experiment too many things. So we have added checkbox column label, switch, rating, progress, slider, currency, annual salary. We have provided all the column labels for these things. Checkbox, switch, rating, progress, slider, currency, and annual salary. That we have done it in table column section. Now let us go to cell section here. In cell section, you can add something like checkbox here. Let me use some width. On status. Now let me add checkbox here. Checkbox with selected property. Here you can see checkbox contains selected property. So for that property, here I want to use path colon data field name. For example, again, salary field, comma, you can use formatter keyword. In single quotes, use dot formatter. It refers to formatter file. And attach your formatter function. For example, checkbox double F. That's the same syntax we are using, but the internal skin element is different. The property is decided based on the internal skin element. The remaining syntax is same. Data binding and attaching formatter function, that remains same. Only internal skin element is changing and its property is changing. Similarly, let me use switch also. Switch contains state property. That is important property here. Several properties, but the suitable property is state. For state property, again, you can use the same syntax. Data field in data binding, that is salary field. Attach formatter function, for example, switch double F. This is a formatter function. And you can end this statement. After switch, let me use rating indicator. Here I want to use rating indicator. Rating indicator contains value property. Value property. For that, let us use data binding and formatter function. So let me copy the syntax. So here, formatter function, I want to use, for example, rating double F. Okay, similarly, I want to use progress indicator here. Progress indicator. So let me add internal skin element as progress indicator. Progress indicator contains percent value property. You can see percent value property. That's important property. For that, again, you can use the same syntax. Use the formatter function, that is, for example, progress double F. This is a formatter function we are trying to use. Then let me add slider. You can see there is slider column with a label. So let me add slider as internal skin element here. Slider as internal skin element. Okay, so let me add it here. Slider. Slider contains value property. We can use this here. And again, you can use the same syntax. Data binding, attaching formatter function. You can use that. So here, let me add formatter function. For example, slider double F. We are using the same syntax for all these things. the internal skin element and its properties changing. On top of this, you can use other properties, width, something like that, or other properties. Okay, so here, after slider, there is currency column label. So let me add text skin element for currency here. Text skin element, text property. Again, let us use the same syntax. Put data field in data binding and attach formatter function. So the formatter function, let me use this as currency double F. Currency double F. You can give any name, doesn't matter, but the same name should be used in formatter file also. And then there is annual salary here. But please remember, for currency, we have used, for currency point of view, we are using condition on country here. So here in data binding, you have to use country field in data binding. Instead of salary field, use country field, because country I want to refer inside condition in formatter function. So maintain data binding with that country field here, because I want to decide currency based on country. I want to decide currency based on country, so use country field in data binding here. Attach formatter function, for example, currency double F. You can use any field. It all depends on the requirement. It can be salary field, country field, or any other field. It all depends on the requirement. In my case, most of the things I'm using salary. For currency field, I'm using country. In real time, it can be any field. It all depends. Now here there is annual salary column with a label. For that also, let me use a text skin element. Text property. Attach formatter function. Here, annual salary. Annual salary is decided based on the monthly salary. So let us use salary field in data binding here. That's our data field in data binding. And let me use formatter function, that is, for example, annual double F. Something like that. Annual sal double F. Use formatter function with some name. You can end the statement. So for all these things, we are using same syntax, but with a different skin element with different properties here. And we are attaching different formatter functions, but overall syntax is same. Now let us implement all the formatter functions now. After doing all these things, internal skin element, property, data binding, and attaching formatter function, we have done it for all the skin elements and all the columns. Now let us open formatter file, implement all the formatter functions, and return the values. So how to do that? Let us go to formatter file, add one more formatter function. Use comma separator, add your formatter function. The next formatter is checkbox double F. In checkbox double F, I want to return based on condition. For example, salary greater than 80,000. If the condition is true, I want to return checkbox as true. If the condition is false, I want to return checkbox as false. Very simple. Similarly, there is a switch double F formatter function. So let me add that. Use comma separator. Switch double F is a formatter. Use function keyword. Salary is a field used in data binding, so you can carry forward that value. And here you can return again. Condition is salary greater than, for example, 80,000. The condition is true, I want to return true, the switch is on. The condition is false, I want to return false, the switch is off. For switch true means on, for switch false means off. Don't forget that. True means on, false is off for switch screen element. Now similarly, you can see there is rating double F. Let me add that formatter function. Rating double F. Use function keyword. Salary field in data binding, so you can carry forward that value. Within flower brackets, return value based on condition. So condition, once again, let me use salary here. Greater than 80,000. The condition is true, I want return 4 star. If the condition is false, I want return 2 star. Very simple. Salary greater than 80,000. The condition is true, return 4 star. Condition is false, return 2 star. So you can return text values, you can return image values, you can return Boolean values, you can return integer values. So please remember that. You can return text values, you can return image values, you can return Boolean values, you can also return integer values. It all depends. Now similarly, progress double F. Same. Within flower brackets, use return statement. Salary greater than 80,000. Condition is true. I want return 80%. If the condition is false, I want return 40%. Condition true, 80%. Condition false, 40% for progress indicator. Similarly, there is slider double F. Let me use the same thing. So here also, let me use same. Return salary greater than 80,000. So the condition is true, return 80%. If the condition is false, return 40%. Or else you can use if-else statement. Instead of using single line statement, you can use if-else statement. Both are same. It doesn't matter because the formatters are executed in the front end. So don't worry about performance. You can use this first syntax with if-else, or you can use this syntax. Now, not only that, there is currency double F. But okay, let me clarify here. Here in both the situations, progress indicator, slider, we are returning 80 as well as 40 in both the formatter functions. So you need not use two formatters. You can use one formatter and you can assign to multiple screen elements. Technically speaking, the return values are same here, 80 and 40 for both the screen elements. So in that case, you need not use two formatter functions. One formatter function can be used to attach to multiple screen elements. Two are not required. Two different screen elements can use same formatter function. Here also you can see checkbox and switch. Checkbox and switch are returning same values, true and false, with same condition here. So checkbox switch can use same formatter function. You need not use two formatter functions. Instead, you can create only one formatter. That is enough. But just for clarity purpose, I've written separate formatter functions. Now you can see there is currency double F. Let me add that. Use function. So here, what is a field used in data binding? Country is a field used in data binding. So you can carry forward that country value here. Not salary always. You can use country because country is a field used in data binding. So use country here inside formatter function. Now here what you can do is you can use something like a switch case statement from JavaScript. So you can use switch, for example, country. Within flower brackets, you can use case. Case, for example, India. I want return INR, Indian rupee as currency. Case, for example, US. Just return something like USD. For example, UK. Return UK pounds. And default. All other countries, let me use default. Default, I want return not available, something like that. So that means here you can use switch case statement, switch case, default, return. These are all JavaScript keywords. Switch case, default, these are JavaScript keywords. So you can use switch case statement inside ui5 Fiori application whenever required. You need not learn JavaScripting separately because the total JavaScript is not used here. The JavaScript keywords, JavaScript methods are used here. So wherever required, we are going to include in different stages. So switch is a JavaScript keyword. Case is a JavaScript keyword. Default, return, all these are JavaScript keywords. Function, and this conditional ternary operator syntax, these are all JavaScript statements. So wherever required, we can use JavaScript keywords, JavaScript methods, JavaScript syntaxes in our ui5 Fiori apps. Okay, so here I want to use annual salary double F. There is another formatter function, annual salary double F. So let me add that here by using function. Salary is a field used in data binding. Here there is no condition, but I just want to return a calculated value. There is no condition. I just want to return calculated value. So return, for example, salary into 12. That's it. You can apply any formula, but here we are just using salary into 12. So you can use all different operators, plus, minus, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. You can use all those things inside this formatter function. Here we are using salary into 12. Okay, so let me test up to here. After that, we'll add some more. So we have implemented formatter functions to return value based on condition. In the last case, we have written calculated value. But whatever it may be, it is implemented in formatter.js file. Now save all the files, run the app. If there is any problem in width, we'll try to adjust it. So here, form list, then there is a table. So in table, you can see it is displaying the output like this. Let us make it more meaningful. So what we'll do is we'll try to adjust the width for slider. First, slider is not displayed properly. Email ID is also not displayed properly. So let me adjust the width here. On email ID, use width, example 125 pixel. And then there is slider. Slider is not displayed properly. Let me increase the width for slider. Let me use width here. Slider, I think let me use 90 pixel. And width here. You can use any property in any sequence, it doesn't matter. Okay, let me run it again. Okay, so somewhat better, but still we can increase this email ID width. Okay, so now let me stick to this. Okay, so here, now you can see almost all the screen elements, including slider, it's okay. Currency is okay. Annual salary is not displayed properly. So let me adjust its width for annual salary. So here I'm using width on text screen element. On text screen element, let me use, for example, 100 pixel. On annual salary, I'm using width 100 pixel. Let me run it again. Okay, so now this is much more meaningful even for annual salary. But here, let me increase. I think this is not taking properly. For email ID, let me increase. Okay, let it be like this. So here, now you can see when you're using a table, in this table, trying to display this table output. Here you can see salary greater than 80,000, we are getting experienced employee. Green color image, checkbox is selected. Switch is on. Rating indicator is 4 star out of 5. Progress is taking up to 80 here. Slider value is also up to 80. And country is India, so you are getting currency as INR. And then annual salary is here 89,000 into 12. It is 10,68,000. So it is calculating that into 12. For example, here you can see salary is less than 80,000. So we are getting fresher employee. Red color image. Checkbox is not selected. Switch is off. Rating is 2 star. Slider is 40. Progress indicator is 40. Country is India, so you are getting INR. 70,000 is a salary. Annual salary is into 12, so 8,40,000. So it is working fine. So all our formatter functions and conditions are executed to get this type of output here. So we are able to get this output because of formatter functions, and formatter functions are executed for each and every record in a table. You can see some switches are on, some are off. Checkbox is selected, checkbox is not selected. Rating is 4 star, rating is 2 star. Slider is 80, slider is 40 here. And currency is INR, some cases it is USD, and some cases UKP. And annual salary is salary into 12, so you're getting the final result here. So all the conditions, all the parameter functions till now, whatever we have written, it's working fine. But not only that, what I want to do is I want to combine this first name, last name. I want to combine into two fields into single field. So that is also possible. Let me try here. Instead of using two separate columns, let me use single column. The two techniques, let me explain one of the technique today. That is, just remove this and use, instead of first name, use, for example, full name here. And here, instead of using two text string elements, use only one text string element. Remove last name. And here, use first name, use some space, and then use last name along with first name in the same. We are using multiple fields in data binding here. Text string element, text property. For that, we are simply maintaining data binding with multiple OData fields, first name as well as last name. And okay, let me run this once. Okay, so first name, last name is displayed, but they're displayed one below the other. Let me adjust here. Let me provide some width. For example, 125 pixel. Let me try like this. You can save and run this. I've just adjusted the width. Now you can see it is much more meaningful here if you closely observe this. So we are able to get this first name, last name in a single column. This is email ID column, but this is first name, last name, both in a single column. We are able to display that. You can see this. Only one column label, that is full name, contains internally both fields. In data binding, we have used two fields, first name, last name. So we are able to get it in single column as a full name here. And not only that, this full name, I want to use it as an input field. This is non-editable, but I want to make it editable. So let us use, instead of using text string element, use input string element. For input string element, you have to use value property in data binding. For value property, you can use first name, last name. So text string element with text property, but input string element with value property. Okay, so here you can see now first name, last name, both are displayed in a single column and they're editable. You can change the values here. Krishna Kumar to something like Ajay Kumar. Varun to something like Suman. And Suman to something like Rakesh Sharma, something like this. So the point here is this input field is providing editable option here. Whatever values are editable, we can save it and update in the backend also. That we are going to do it in the coming days. So full name values are editable here. So once edited, the values can be updated in the backend through OData service. That's a future topic. Now, not only that, here you can see there is user ID. User ID, I want to display with button. Okay, first let me go with email ID. Email ID, I want to display with, for example, link string element. I want to use email ID with the link string element. So let us go to this. Email ID. Instead of text string element for email ID, let us use link string element. Save and run it. Now you can see email ID is highlighted here with hyperlink because we have used link string element. So you can see the proper output now. If you click on some hyperlink, then if you click on that email ID, you can redirect to something. That action we can perform in the coming days. What should happen when you click on this link? We can assign some action. By writing code in event handler, we can complete that activity. Now, not only that, you can see there is a salary field. This is a OData field coming from backend. But I want to display with colors. This is a salary field. I want to display with color here. Salary greater than 80,000. I want to display green color value. Less than 80,000, red color value. Green color, and this should be red color. So that's expectation here. The values in salary field must be in colors based on some condition. Right now it is displaying with black color for all these values. I want to display with colored values. So what you can do is you need to use object number screen element here on salary field. You can use object number screen element on salary field here. Object number contains state property. That state property allows success for green color value, error for red color value. So let me go to salary field here. Instead of using text screen element on salary field, I want to use object number. You can see object number. You can add it here. Okay, you can see object number is one of the screen element class. Let me use object number element, and object number contains something like number property and state property. For number, let me use what number I should display. I should display salary, so display that by using data binding directly with salary field. But I want to have the color for that field. For color, the color is decided by state property here. Color is decided by state property. Number will display the value. Number property will display the value. State property will decide the color. Object number is an intrinsic element. Number is a property. It will decide the value. State is a property that will decide the color for that value. So the color can be something like error, success, warning, none. These are constants here. So if I use success for all the values, it will be green color. If I use error, all the salary values will be red color. If I use none, all the values will be something like black color. So I want to display different colors based on condition. That's the reason why you can use formatter function here. Path colon OData field name. Path colon OData field name, because I want to display value with colors. So you have to use state property. Salary is a field in data binding. Formatter is a keyword. Dot formatter refers to formatter file. And use formatter function. For example, I can use some formatter function here. Salary state double F. You can do anything, or object number double F, whatever. I'm using salary state double F here as a formatter function. So let us go to formatter file. Use comma separator. Add formatter function. Use OData field in data binding. So use that as a carry forward value. You can use return statement. Example, salary greater than 80,000. Here I want to use, if the condition is true, I want to return success. That is for green color value. If the condition is false, I want to return error. That is red color value. Because object number state property supports success, error, none, default, something like that. So we are trying to return based on condition. Condition is true, we are returning success for green color. Condition is false, we are returning error, that is for red color. You can apply this on other fields also, not only salary. Okay, save and run this. Now you can see salary value is displayed with colors here. You're able to get that output here. Salary values are displayed in colors. So this is green color because it's greater than 80,000. Greater than 80,000. Here these are red color because less than 80,000. So we can apply color on a value inside this column. You can use object number, object status, something like that. This is a backend data field which contains the records coming from backend system, but the values are available in colors here. The coloring is happening. The coloring is happening in the front end part, not in the backend. Through formatter functions, by executing formatter function in the front end browser, the color is decided here, but the value comes from the backend. Okay, not only that, here you can see there is a button. There is a user ID field. I want to apply button for each and every user ID. I want to display a button for each and every user ID. So let us go to that. So here there is user ID field. Instead of text screen element, I want to use button screen element. Instead of text screen element, now I'm using button screen element. Button also contains text property. You can use text property for display purpose. I want to display user ID on button. But button type, I want to use with a green color button or red color button depending upon the condition. The type of the button I want to decide based on condition. So use type property here. And button type supports accept. Accept is for green color. Button type reject. Reject is for red color. You can use type. And here it supports accept for green color button, reject for red color button, emphasized for blue color button. Default, I think, black color button. So here I want to use accept. It will display all buttons with green color. If I use reject here, it will display all buttons with red color. But I want to use condition. So you can use path colon, data field name. Example, salary field. And formatter is a keyword. Dot formatter refers to file name. And here I want to use button type double F is a formatter function I want to assign. Button type double F. I want to assign this as a formatter function. Save it. Now open this one. Formatter file, use comma separator, add formatter function, use function keyword. In condition, we are using salary field. So here I can return salary greater than, for example, 80,000. If the condition is true, I want to return green color button. So you have to use accept. Condition is false. I want to return red color button. So use reject. Condition is true, you'll get accept, green color button. Condition is false, you'll get reject, that is red color button. Now you can see buttons are displayed with colors here on user ID field. So here you can see buttons are with green color, buttons are with red color. That is decided based on the salary value here. So we can display buttons. On buttons we can have colors like this. Green if the condition is true, red color if the condition is false. So it's working according to expectation. Not only button colors, you can see there is progress indicator. I can also have progress indicators with different colors. That is possible. So progress indicator also contains one property. Progress indicator also contains one property. State is one property that will decide the color for progress indicator. So let me use that. So here there is a progress indicator, and here I can add one more property for progress indicator. You can see state is one of the property. State is one of the property. If you use control space, you'll get that. For state property, you can use different options. You can see success, green color progress indicator, error, red color progress indicator, warning, yellow color, none, blue color. So state property will decide the color for progress indicator with these values. If I use success, always all the records will have green color progress indicator. If I use error, all the values will have red color progress indicator. But I want to display based on condition. The color should be decided based on condition. Then you have to use this syntax. Path colon OData field name. And use formatter keyword. Dot formatter is a file name. It refers to formatter.js file. And you can use progress state double F. Progress color double F, something like that. Progress color double F. Okay, you can save it. Now go to formatter file. Add one more formatter. Use comma separator. Add one more formatter function to decide the color based on salary field. So return, for example, salary greater than 80,000. Here it supports success error. So success is for green color progress indicator. Error is for red color progress indicator. Save it and you can run. I think we are running out of time. Okay. So now you can see we are able to get progress indicator with green color and red color for all the records here. So this is how you can display. Okay, you can see this is the final output at this point of time. So some are with green color progress indicator, some are with red color. So this is working fine because progress indicator state property will decide the color. Object number state property will decide the color. Button type property will decide the color. For button type property will decide the color. For object number state property will decide the color. For progress indicator also state property will decide the color. So different properties, different skin elements will decide these things. So this is how you can experience an output here. You can make your table output more and more meaningful by adding different options. In the coming days, we can add selections, single selection or multi-selection on records. Based on selections, we can do some more actions. We can implement event handlers in various controllers. So that we'll discuss later, no, don't worry. But as of now, this is the overall output at this stage. We're going to add many more features. In the next session also, we are going to add some more formatter functions to the table. So as of today, we are using only single field inside formatter function. Salary field is used in formatter function, single field. Or countries is a single field used in formatter function. But I want to use multiple fields inside formatter function. So then you have to go for the next syntax. That syntax we'll discuss in tomorrow's session. And we'll try to add formatter functions to other skin elements also. This is not the end. We'll try to extend this topic tomorrow as well. So as of now, for testing purpose, you can use this. Copy that code. So what you need to do is, in testing this coding, just go to step one. Step one, open object-view.xml file and update your table code as below. Update your table code as below. So let me copy those lines. If you want to compare, you can compare with this code while testing. This table code contains columns, labels, screen elements, data binding, formatter functions. That contains table code. Step two is open formatter.js file. Formatter.js file. And implement below formatter functions. Implement below formatter functions. Let me copy those lines. So here, use comma separator and keep on adding your formatter functions. That is step two. We've added several formatter functions here. And step three is just save all the files, run the app. Save all the files, object file, formatter file, and run the app. So whatever output we have experienced here in training, the same output you can get it. But be careful, you have to import all the required image files. If you are using image files in table, then import all required image files into your query project. Then you can run the app. So here, let me go back to this particular syntax. Here you can see so in your formatter functions, you can use these different syntaxes here. Let me copy this line. So you can use if-else keywords. You can use this approach, if-else return. This is JavaScript if-else keywords. But the same thing can be done in a different manner. So here, instead of using if-else, I can use like this, return For example, salary greater than 80,000. Then here I can return experienced employee. Else I want to return fresher employee. Save it and run. Output point of view, there is no difference. You can experience the same output. Okay, you can see status. You're able to experience the same output. Experienced employees, some are fresher employees. So according to condition, it is working fine. So that means in your coding, you can use first syntax or you can use second syntax here. It's up to you. So you can use the second syntax if you want. So technically, this is left side syntax. This is JavaScript if else syntax. Right side also it's a JavaScript conditional ternary operator syntax. Conditional ternary operator syntax. So you can use any syntax of your choice. Doesn't matter. But the point here is we are using if else return. Here we are just simply using return. This is a condition. This is the value 1. This is value 2. So what happens is if the condition is true, it returns first value. The condition is true, it returns first value here. Let me put it like this, green color. The condition is true, it returns first value. Where is the condition? This is a condition here. This is a condition. So if the condition is true, it returns value 1. The condition is false, it returns value 2. Condition true. At runtime, the condition is true, it returns value 1. This is technically value 1. And if the condition is false, it returns value 2. Let me put red color here. The condition is false, it returns value 2 automatically according to the syntax. Value 2 is fresher in this case. So this is condition false. So that means here we are using return statement, condition, value 1 and value 2. This is similar to if else syntax here. Performance wise, don't worry too much because these are all executed in the browser level, in the front end side, not in the server. So output point of view, performance wise, there won't be any major difference. You can use whichever is comfortable for you. So this is JavaScript if else and conditional ternary operator syntax. JavaScript if else syntax versus conditional ternary operator syntax. Now we have used one more syntax from JavaScript, that is switch case statement here. It's also from JavaScript. So this is JavaScript switch case statement or switch case syntax. Okay, you can use that. Switch with that value. If the case value is matching, then it returns some value here. If it is matching with second value, then it returns second value here. If it is matching with third value, you can return some other value text here. So these are all JavaScript syntaxes here. This is like JavaScript switch case statement or switch case syntax. You can use it. So here, JavaScript keywords used in today's session. Let me just highlight that. So function is a JavaScript keyword we have used for implementing formatter functions. It is JavaScript keyword for implementing formatter functions. And in the coming days, we are going to implement event handlers also. Function keyword is same for formatter functions as well as event handlers. Similarly, we have used if-else keywords for applying simple conditions. And you can use return keyword. Return keyword is to return a value. Just to return a value. And switch case also can be used in the form of conditions here, because value 1 matching with value 1 matching with value 2. So this is also like applying conditions. And conditional ternary operator syntax we have used. So this is to apply again. This is for apply condition and to return value. This is like just an alternative for if-else. As of now, just remember these things. In the coming days, we are going to use array concept, object concept, array methods, object methods, etc. Don't worry, that we are going to discuss at later point of time. But here, JavaScript keywords and syntaxes can be used in both ui5 and Fiori wherever required. Can be used in SAP ui5 or Fiori whenever and wherever required. In development of ui5 Fiori, wherever required, we can use our JavaScript keywords and JavaScript syntaxes. So wherever required, I'll be highlighting those things, same like today. So in the next session also, what we'll do is, once again, we are going to use formatter functions with a table, then list and microcharts. Tomorrow also we are going to use table with formatter functions, so it's not completed. Tomorrow also we are going to extend this topic. There is one more syntax that we have to understand. After that, I'll clarify doubts. Already we are running out of time. Already we are out of time. So tomorrow we can have doubt session, because tomorrow topic will be very simple. Formatter function with table, then list and microcharts. Okay, everything is copied.